Well, it's 24 hours to the start of another four-year term for President Muhammadu Buhari to govern the affairs of Nigeria.
And citizens are hopeful for better policies that will positively impact their lives. Our correspondent Ademola Lawrence went to the streets of Lagos to feel the pulse of Nigerians as they get ready for another 4 years under the current administration.
For President Muhammadu Buhari, the excitement of winning what was unarguably one of the most keenly contested presidential elections in Nigeria's history may be giving way to the consideration of the legacy he will leave behind at the end of his 8 years in office. While promising that he will continue with his three-point agenda of fighting insecurity, corruption, and fixing the economy, the president was forthright about what to expect. In his words, "My last lap of 4 years, I think, is going to be tough because people are being forgetful. But for Nigerians, they expect that the next 4 years of the president should be able to change the fortune of the country."
I expect him most of the policies that will better Nigerians, he should implement them.
First thing I expect the president to do is to focus on education first. The second one is the roads all over our countries. And the third one is the electricity.
The president will begin a journey to actualize his promises when he's sworn in for his second and final tenure on 29th of May. With the level of attacks, kidnapping and banditry all over the country at the high rates of the poverty in the land, Nigerians expect that the president should be able to put all of these to rest.
We've hoped for a lot, but we've seen worse situations. The country has been plunged into various aspects of disasters. Look at the insurgency and every other negative things going on, the issue of Boko Haram and the rest. We are still hopeful anyway.
The situation of the country is not okay. Security must be tight. At least we want a better security.
Even sometimes when you are going around in the 11 or 12, we see boys driving bike. They'll just stop you on the road. Before you know, put gun on your head or knife, collect your phone and your money because there's no job. But when there is job, things will be fine.
The hallmark of any administration is good governance. As President Muhammadu Buhari moves into the next phase of his administration, Nigerians are hopeful that 2019 to 2023 will be better off than the previous one. Ademola Lawrence, TVC News, Lagos.
I have joining me now a lawyer and public affairs analyst, Jide Ologun. Jide, it's nice to have you join me right now.
Good morning.
When it comes to the next dispensation, Nigerians have so much expectation from what the government should do for them, from region to region, from sector to sector, from whatever endeavor and all of that. But from the standpoint where you see right now, what do you think or that the government should, the next administration should capitalize on to be able to work for the benefit of Nigerians?
Is to fulfill the expectations of the people, because wherever you have the mandate, definitely there must be performance to suit the evaluation. And the first 4 years right now, if you talk of returns on investment, the conclusion is that not much has been done, because you now have the ICE capsule, I for the insecurity, fight against corruption, and of course, reviving the economy. And when you benchmark performance with that, we have done so little. So going forward, the president should embark on ensuring that this narrative changes.
All right. Now, see, the president in his interview yesterday was saying that those who call him go slow, they will be shocked one way or the other. Are you expecting any disruptive restructuring in this next dispensation? Because those are the things Nigerians are really looking forward to.
Somebody said you don't argue with good results. So beyond the rhetorics of how you are described, I think performance will show what you are doing. You look at the United States of America, even though Donald Trump himself is a controversial leader. I mean, the unemployment rate in the US is about 3.6 now, and you cannot compare that with that of Nigeria. And you talk about resources made available, for instance, I know that the debt profile of my country is in the region of 24 trillion naira, so we cannot claim that resources are not there. It's about prioritization. And whether you like it or not, by the time you leave office someday, your achievements or otherwise will be recorded against your name. So I advise the president to look beyond what people are saying, not to the extent of not feeling their pulse, Democracy is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. You need to know what they need, and they don't need to beg for these things. You have to make them available. One of the things Lee Kuan Yew did in Singapore to create an enabling environment for foreign direct investment is to make the locals happy. What is going on in this country now? People are revolting, whether through crime or whatever. So the environment is not friendly for investment.
That draws us to the issue of state governments. Everyone from every village and every cranny always talk about the federal government. And it seems attention is taken away from the state government and what they can do. Not even the local government at all is not even in mention. Do you think that when it comes to that impact you're talking about, the state governments are even the ones who have the powers to impact people more?
They all have their responsibilities, but let's isolate security, for instance. The Inspector General of Police is not answerable to the governor. It's answerable to the president. The Commissioner of Police is not answerable to the governor. You can only find a way of collaborating, but the loyalty is to the central government. We are still debating the fact that financial allocation to local government, we have to go through governors. There are several issues. We are still debating state police. And so much lies on the table of the federal government. So it's a matter of embarking on a national integration that will compel you to attend to all regions of the country. I mean, wealth has a way of creating joy for the people, but poverty also has a way of constituting a threat. And that is what we should focus on. We should love one another, unite as a nation, engage our resources, block the loopholes. And I want to see our refineries functioning, and I want us to celebrate perhaps by October 1, 2020, the first 90 days or 120 days of uninterrupted power supply in this country. You know, there are a lot of things we can get done, and that is the business of the government.
All right, we hope somehow that will come to play, and even if it's not now, maybe sometime soon, because
Let
all
it
of that
be now. Let it be now. If it's important, you find the passion to get it done.
Yes.
Where there is a will, there is a way.
All right, thank you very much, Jide Logun, for all of that
Thank
now.
you. God bless Nigeria.
So much, and so much.
Where there is a will,
there is a way. All right. It's 24 hours to the start of another 4-year term for President Muhammadu Buhari to govern the affairs of Nigeria.
Nigerians are hopeful for better policies that will positively impact their lives. Our correspondent, Ademola Lawrence, went to the streets of Lagos to feel the pulse of Nigerians as they get ready for another 4 year under the current administration.
For President Muhammadu Buhari, the excitement of winning what was unarguably one of the most keenly contested presidential elections in Nigeria's history may be giving way to the consideration of the legacy he will leave behind at the end of his 8 years in office. While promising that he will continue with his 3-point agenda of fighting insecurity, corruption, and fixing the economy, the president was forthright about what to expect. In his words, "My last lap of 4 years, I think, is going to be tough because people are being forgetful. But for Nigerians, they expect that the next 4 years of the president should be able to change the fortune of the country."
I expect him, most of the policies that will better Nigerians, he should implement them.
First thing I expect the president to do is to focus on education first. The second one is the roads all over our country. And the third one is the electricity.
The president will begin a journey to actualize his promises when he's sworn in for his second and final tenure on 29th of May. With the level of attacks, kidnapping and banditry all over the country at the high rates of the poverty in the land, Nigerians expect that the president should be able to put all of these to rest.
We've hoped for a lot, but we've seen worse situations. The country has been plunged into various aspects of disasters. Look at the insurgency and every other negative things going on, the issue of Boko Haram and the rest. We are still hopeful anyway.
The situation of the country is not okay. Security must be tight. At least we want a better security.
Even sometimes when you are going around in the 11 or 12, we see boys driving bike. They'll just stop you on the road. Before you know, put gun on your head or knife, collect your phone and your money because there's no job. But when there is job, things will be fine.
The hallmark of any administration is good governance. As President Muhammadu Buhari moves into the next phase of his administration, Nigerians are hopeful that 2019 to 2023 will be better off than the previous one. Ademola Lawrence, TVC News, Lagos.
Lawyer and public affairs analyst Jide Ologun joins me now to talk more on this. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Thank you. Good morning.
Well, as we all know, tomorrow the president will be inaugurated for another second term in office, rather. And he has said that he would be building on, the cardinals that he came up with in his first term, which has to do with tackling insecurity, corruption, and all of that. But he can't do that alone. He has his ministers that he will come up with. But he's saying that his first cabinet, he hasn't seen those that he should do away with. Should he retain his cabinet?
I'm not here to advise him whether to retain the cabinet, but for him to excel in office. Because basically, like you rightly mentioned, he has those who has to support him. So there has to be a vision of what he wants to achieve. I mean, if you intend to keep Nigeria in status quo, then you may retain those who have brought us this far.
When you say keep Nigeria in status quo, how do you mean?
I mean, we just listen to the people, because democracy is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And people are complaining about a terrible economy, complaining about insecurity, complaining about continuing corruption. And these are issues that the government needs to deal with to move the nation from the status of poverty to prosperity. So if you think that the team you had can help you achieve that, you retain them. But if you think you need to rejig, why not? But my counsel is that we need to go beyond being local, go to the global environment. Right now, the United Nations has stipulated what is expected of a decent society, and that will be evaluated by year 2030, talking about the Sustainable Development Goals. How do we fit into this? We just, watched a report on the state of water provision in Nigeria, even in the state of the president himself. But I know it's not rocket science. There are some communities in the world where water is provided, and Nigerians are willing to pay. You talk about security, there are some safe countries in this world that are even closing down their prisons. Well, you talk about the economy. There are vibrant economies. What have they done? And you look for those who can get these things done and bring them in.
Now, in the area of insecurity, the president says he is going to go tough on the police to ensure that they get the job done. And in the area of corruption, he's saying the results is too slow. This he said during an interview that was aired yesterday. And also he spoke about providing about 20 million jobs, and he is focusing on 4 sectors: agriculture, transportation, services, and construction.
I think I would rather advise the president to deal with probably creating jobs, actually diversifying the economy to empower the prosperity power of the people. Because if you want to go tough on the police and you are not addressing the foundation of crime, the police will remain overwhelmed, just like we have today. After all, when he came back, he saw the Inspector General of Police working so hard, so much that he lost weight. All right? So the crisis is enormous. So I will expect that we find a way of embarking on national integration, which makes us to trust one another and be faithful towards Project Nigeria, and allow massive development in all parts of the country, irrespective of partisan positioning or inclinations. And of course, when we embark, then why don't we begin to revive the education sector? Because when people are not educated, when you have a wider spectrum of the ignorant, they will destabilize the process. I call them the superstructure. If you build infrastructures and you don't have superstructures to maintain the infrastructure, they get destroyed. So let's go back to the basics. Where were we coming from? Where should we be globally? And we bring brains together. In the past, you talk about bringing more hands on deck. We need more heads, more hearts, and more hands that we really deliver on the dividends of good governance.
We have to leave it at this point. Jide Ologun, thank you for your time on TVC Breakfast.
Thank you. God bless.